The bedroom door clicked shut, a sound as final as a gunshot in the suffocating silence of our home. I stood frozen, my hand still on the knob, staring at the grain of the wood, as if it could explain why my wife Lena had just walked out mid-conversation, her phone clutched like a lifeline. For a month she'd been a ghost in our marriage, distant, distracted, her excuses sharp and flimsy as broken glass. "I'm busy," she'd say, her eyes darting to her screen, fingers dancing across it with a secretive urgency. Tonight, I'd pressed her, my voice cracking with a mix of desperation and dread. "Lena, what's going on? Talk to me." Her response was a slammed door, and the echo of her footsteps fading down the hall. My chest tightened, a sickening weight settling in my gut. Something was wrong, terribly, irreversibly wrong. The living room felt like a stage set, all our shared history reduced to props. The worn leather couch where we'd binged old movies, the coffee table stained with rings from her late-night wine. I sank onto the couch, the leather creaking under my weight, and tried to piece together the fragments of the past month. Lena's late nights at the office. Her phone always face down, buzzing at odd hours. The way her laughter, once warm and unguarded, had turned brittle, like she was performing for an audience I couldn't see. I'd dismissed it all. Work stress, I told myself, or maybe just a phase. But now, the truth clawed at me, raw and unrelenting. She was hiding something. I reached for my phone, my thumb hovering over her contact. Call her? Demand answers? My mind spiraled, replaying every moment I'd ignored. The lipstick smudge on her collar, too vibrant for her usual shade. The faint scent of cologne, unfamiliar and musky, lingering on her scarf. Each memory was a pinprick, sharp and accusing. I wanted to believe there was an innocent explanation. But doubt gnawed at me, a relentless predator. What if she wasn't just busy? What if she was someone else's? The next morning, Lena was already gone when I woke, her side of the bed cold, the sheets untouched. A note on the counter read, "Meeting all day. Don't wait up." Her handwriting, usually looping and warm, looked rushed, almost angry. I crumpled the paper, my knuckles white, and felt a surge of something dark, anger, maybe, or fear masquerading as rage. I couldn't sit still, couldn't let the house suffocate me with its silence. I grabbed my keys and drove to her office, telling myself I just needed to see her, to catch a glimpse of the woman I thought I knew. Her office building loomed like a glass monolith, reflecting the gray October sky. I parked across the street, my hands trembling as I gripped the steering wheel. This was crazy, I thought. Stalking my own wife. But then I saw her, stepping out of the revolving doors, her coat flapping in the wind. She wasn't alone. A man, tall, sharp-jawed, in a tailored suit, walked beside her, too close, his hand brushing her elbow. She laughed, her head tilting toward him in a way that made my stomach lurch. It was a laugh I hadn't heard in months, unguarded and alive. I followed them, my car trailing at a distance, my pulse hammering in my ears. They stopped at a cafe, settling into a corner booth by the window. I parked, my breath shallow, and watched through the glass. The man leaned in, his fingers grazing hers as he passed her a coffee. She didn't pull away. My vision blurred, hot tears stinging my eyes. Was this it? Was this the truth I'd been too afraid to face? I wanted to storm in, to demand answers, but my body felt leaden, chained to the seat by a mix of shame and dread. For days, I lived in a haze of suspicion. I checked her phone when she showered, my hands shaking as I scrolled through her messages. Nothing overt, no damning confessions, but there were texts from Mark, her coworker, littered with emojis and vague plans. "See you at 7. Missed you today." Each one was a knife, twisting deeper. I confronted her that night, my voice low, trembling with barely contained fury. "Who's Mark, Lena? Why's he texting you at midnight?" Her eyes widened, then narrowed, a flash of something, guilt? Defiance? Crossing her face. "He's just a colleague, Tom. God, you're being paranoid." Her voice was sharp, but it wavered, betraying her. She turned away, busying herself with dishes, the clatter of plates drowning out my next question. I stood there, helpless, the air thick with unspoken accusations. The truth unraveled slowly, each clue a thread pulling apart the fabric of our life. A receipt for a hotel I didn't recognize, tucked in her purse. A late-night call she took in the backyard, her voice hushed, urgent. I stopped asking, stopped begging for intimacy or answers. Instead, I watched, a silent detective in my own marriage, piecing together a story I didn't want to believe. Lena wasn't just distant. She was slipping away, her heart already half-claimed by someone else. The final blow came on a rainy Tuesday, the kind of day that mirrors your misery. I'd taken the day off, claiming a headache, but really, I needed to know. I followed her again, this time to a quiet street lined with brownstones. She parked outside one, glancing around before slipping inside. My heart pounded as I waited, minutes stretching into an eternity. Then I saw them through a window, Lena and Mark, tangled in an embrace, her hands in his hair, his lips on her neck. The world tilted, my breath catching in my throat. This wasn't suspicion anymore. This was betrayal, raw and undeniable. I didn't confront her then. I drove home, the rain blurring my windshield, my mind a storm of grief and rage. That night, she came home late, her cheeks flushed, her excuses flimsier than ever. Client dinner, she said, avoiding my eyes. I nodded, my voice calm, betraying none of the chaos inside. Sounds nice, I said, and she froze, sensing the shift in me. The next morning, I left a note of my own. I know, Lena. We need to talk. I didn't wait for her response. I packed a bag and drove to a motel, the neon sign flickering like my fractured trust. My phone buzzed with her calls, her texts, pleas, denials, apologies, but I didn't answer. The truth was out, a wound too deep to stitch closed with words. Hours later, she showed up at the motel, her face streaked with tears, her voice raw. Tom, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I was lost and Mark, he was there. Her words were a plea, but they felt hollow, like echoes of a love we'd lost. I looked at her, the woman I'd vowed to cherish, and saw a stranger. Why? I asked, my voice breaking. Why wasn't I enough? She had no answer, only sobs, and in that moment, I realized the twist. The betrayal wasn't just hers. I'd betrayed myself, ignoring the signs, clinging to a marriage that had been crumbling long before Mark. I walked away, leaving her in the rain, the weight of her choices, and mine, heavier than ever.